Well, guys, it's the beginning of the end of the Season 1 Lady Dynamite After Show here on AFTERBUZZ TV. Today we're covering episodes 11 and 12. It's been fun, guys. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Where is it?
There it is! Yeah. Win more than half of the time.
So who knew this was a real song, right? But is there a better encapsulation of the show than I don't know what I'm doing more than half of the time?
It's perfect.
It's perfect. It's very true, and it's like weirdly specific in that perfect Maria Bamford way.
Yeah, I can relate to it on this show even.
I can relate to it too.
I don't know what I'm saying more than half the
I don't think
time.
any of us do covering this show. Well, guys, Tamra's back. We're all back. We all made it for the finale. I think it's been since episode 3 that the four of us have all been in studio at the same time. So
We have busy lives.
we have busy lives, guys. But we're all here, which is awesome. We're covering episodes 11 and 12 today, which is the end of season 1 of Lady Dynamite on AFTERBUZZ TV.
Wow.
On Netflix, and it's been fun, guys. But in case you forgot, I'm Jeff Graham. You guys can find me on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham, and I'll let these other beautiful ladies introduce themselves.
I'm Tamra Brown. You can find me on Twitter at BrownTamra and on Instagram at Tamra_blue.
I am Kelsey Hightower, and you can find me on all social media at Kelsey Hightower.
You can find me all across the internet at Lisa Mason Lee.
So, guys, that came and went, huh? We went through the whole season.
Yep.
That's weird.
I've got to ask, reactions to the last 2 episodes. Was it everything you hoped for and more?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. I'm kind of feeling yes and no, too. Moments of amazingness, moments of me feeling a little bit like there could have been more. But I want to hear why you're saying yes and no, Tamra.
I feel like I wanted to see Maria learn to take control of a situation, not let somebody walk all over her, be a grown-up. But, of course, she couldn't do those things because that's the whole precipice of the series is that she, she's messed up. She's got mental issues. She's got things she's struggling with, and that's what this show is about. So those things, those wants could never be met. But I just still, it sort of builds to this, like, zenith of frustration for me. So that's what yes and no. Like my needs weren't met, but they couldn't be because that's not how then it wouldn't be this show.
Fair enough.
True.
Kelsey.
And I agree with that. So I agree with everything you're saying. I feel the same way. Just about the courage and building up. But on the building, on what you said, what I did like was I got a little bit of closure from Maria. So the very ending shot just blew my mind. I loved it. I just thought that embodied everything. And
remind us?
The ending shot of the whole season when she's on the bicycle.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And it's both
very
of
clever.
her, and it's like, that's great. like visually we're seeing
Two versions of her.
Like what she's been explaining this whole season, and it's great. I still don't know how I feel about Scott, so we can talk about that. I don't know where to stand. But yeah, I really did enjoy these 2 episodes, and I did get some closure from it, so I liked it.
I feel great about it. I think that she stood up for herself a lot, and that's what I really wanted to see. I was tired of seeing her get pushed over, and it seems that at the end she's overcome those fears that she's had and she's open to falling in love. But she still has that childlike part of her and the mental illness where you're kind of like, does she really know what's going on?
Yeah, I feel like we did see growth, which is good because we ended on a kind of resolution, at least in terms of her romantic life, which is good. It's weird to think, I don't know how she stands with her friends, and it's hard for us to know still of who the people that surround her are her actual friends and who aren't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a lot of it was very funny. We had a lot of questions answered, which was cool. And I'm reading that it's very likely there will be a season 2. I don't think it's an official confirmation yet, but
Did you guys mention that it was on a Rolling Stones list of like the best? It was something like the best comedies of the year or something like that. It was on a top 10 list of Rolling Stone, but when I just looked up to try to find what exactly it was, it said it's unavailable. So
Of course.
yeah.
The internet.
But Rolling Stone, man.
I kind of have a feeling we'll see this show sneak up on a lot of critics' top 10 lists because it kind of flew under the radar, and obviously this show isn't going to be everyone's cup of tea, but I mean, I did feel a sense of satisfaction when it all wrapped, and I kind of thought, like, I don't know if I was along for the ride the entire time because the ride was so crazy, which is awesome. Like, I just feel like the show took such big risks, and I was left feeling very satisfied at the end.
A friend of mine over the weekend, because most of the people that I've, my comedy friends just praise it to the high heavens. We all really love it. I think we're all on the same page. I super enjoy it. Most people I've been talking to critically about this show love it. A friend of mine over the weekend who's not in comedy but very smart and just sort of a civilian when it comes to entertainment, she pointed out that something that bothered her about this show, which I've never noticed, I don't know if you guys ever noticed it, is like, she said there's a lot of editing mistakes that she doesn't think are intentional. Like, she notices, like, kind of in the background, she said, like, people, extras will be doing something that she doesn't think, it doesn't look like it was intentional.
Like weird continuity stuff occasionally.
And weird continuity stuff, weird edits that, like, it wasn't for the sake of a comedy bit or something like that. I'm like, I never noticed that, so maybe she's not...
I noticed one, actually, that pulled me out of it. It was during Karen Grisham, Agent, Anna Gasteyer's character, was ranting about when Maria comes back into her office, and she's like, you blew it for me, you blew the pitch meeting, blah, blah, blah. She's listing all these things, and she starts talking about her grandma, and there was a very weird audio edit where it cuts in and cuts out, and it was so clear to me that they pulled two different takes. Actually, some of the editing mistakes that I've noticed I actually really like. Like, they'll use takes where the actors don't get the words perfectly. Like, Maria will be like, oh yeah, this is my dog Blossom, and they'll have, like, little mistakes.
Yeah.
Which I actually love that. I've noticed
do like that.
they use takes that aren't perfect.
And
which,
again, I don't know if she couldn't think of, like, giving me an example, and I've never noticed this kind of thing, but my friend who was telling me is a super observant person, so, like, I trust. I just don't know if whatever she was seeing was intentional for comedy, and she just didn't get. But who knows? I was just wondering if you guys noticed those things.
I really didn't.
I haven't really been paying attention to it, honestly. Like, I've been looking more at the storyline and just what she's doing and all that stuff, but I haven't really been looking at maybe the style as much. I mean, they have made a lot of creative decisions stylistically, and that I like. But as far as mistakes, I mean, maybe here and there, but I don't know, maybe it was low budget.
It's a show
or
that's really hard to tell when there's a mistake because there's such strange jumps and cuts and inside jokes and breaking the fourth wall anyway that it's just kind of
I did notice, like, the dog was talking, like, speaking English like that. I'm just kidding. No, that's to the point of, like, who knows what the hell, if you know what I mean? Because the show, it's almost nice if you have a show that's, like, the pretense is that it's so crazy anyway, you can probably get away with some editing or continuity.
And I feel like she doesn't really, that doesn't bother her. Like, she doesn't want it to be a big blockbuster or something clean and pretty. Like, her life isn't clean and pretty, so I don't know. Maybe she's very lenient on that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking, and I know we got to dive in, but there's just so many thoughts. I was thinking, can you imagine getting a script of this show in the first season and being, like, just trying to process it? Like, the fact that there was a pretty consistent voice across these 12 episodes with multiple directors and multiple writers. And Maria's really what holds it together, but there's so much to be said. Like, this isn't a run-of-the-mill comedy. So when
Not at all.
there's something so revolutionarily, like, fresh about what's happening, it's kind of a miracle, really, that it all worked as well as it did.
Yeah.
Like, I just can't imagine being a director and coming in on, like, episode 7 and be, like, thinking, like, how do I do this? Like,
Yeah.
so I mean, the show, I think all of us agree we loved it overall.
Yeah.
So let's dive in.
Let's do it. Let's dive in.
Okay, so we're talking about Mind Romp. Of course, this is the episode where we kind of start to see trouble in paradise between Maria and Scott. We start, well, the main focus of this episode, which was, I thought, hilarious, was that Maria's t-shirts, the Bam Bam t-shirts, accidentally become the uniform for a Sudanese child army. What did you guys think of this plot?
I thought it was perfect. I thought that was a good, the ridiculousness of the fact that Bruce's assistant overnighted them to, I thought she said Nigeria, but maybe Sudan.
South Sudan.
So, yeah.
It's one of the African ones. I don't know.
Oh, God.
I thought it was
Somewhere in the Africas, I don't know.
And you know, that's just, of course, leading somewhere. So I thought it was perfectly insane place to take it.
One of these things that I never saw coming. You know, you just keep being surprised by this show. And when we saw the T-shirts originally, and they said Maria Bamford, Bam Bam, you know, it's like, woo woo. And then now that they've turned that joke around to be like, Bam Bam, these are child, you know, warriors. It's like, I didn't even consider that.
Yeah,
Took it to a new level.
Yeah, I like how it's just a whole start of like what turned into a strange publicity stunt and how they had to turn it around and make it right in the public eye.
I do. One thing I love about this show, sometimes I see things happen and they feel so random. And I'm like, why did they choose this? But they really are seeds for future plot arcs.
I know.
It's like, what's the point of this whole Bam Bam subplot?
Right.
It's like, oh, of course, it becomes a uniform of a Sudanese child army. Like, I haven't seen that coming.
Yeah, you didn't know that.
Why didn't we think of that?
Yeah.
Did anyone predict that last time?
I almost did. I was thinking either Sudanese or like maybe Nigerian. I don't know, but I knew it was going to be a child army twist. I just didn't know which country.
I feel like the writers, like after they wrote and shot that episode, everybody was just kind of like, please nothing in like the news come out that like ISIL has like you know, they reveal this like child militia that is, you know, like so many times shows have to like pull episodes and stuff because something happens in the news it's not appropriate. So like
that's a really interesting point. I mean, a lot of choices they made, like the white trash episode.
Yeah.
This episode was not, or this series was not afraid to
go there.
Yeah, which was, I'm so glad it did. That's kind of what Netflix can be. So it was definitely the right medium for a show like this. I think my favorite line of the episode did happen here, and I just have to say it because I thought it was so funny. Maria's talking to Bruce, and she says, "Bruce, I am the face of a tween terrorist organization." And Bruce goes, "Wait, is that a pitch?"
Yeah.
That was really hilarious.
That's great.
Hollywood.
Any other thoughts? I was going to move on and talk about. Oh, this is funny too. Real quick, Bruce's method tweeting is Maria. This whole pregnancy
so
thing.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was funny.
I noticed he said he's in the Venice Beach Outreach theater production of Tootsie. Do we think Outreach was like out of the closet, like reaching? I wasn't sure if that was another moment where Bruce was like.
I don't think so, but you know what? Your prediction that maybe it's still, I could see it still heading that way.
Happening.
Yeah.
I just feel like he likes any excuse he can to like dress. Well, he's dressed up like a woman in this scene.
Yeah, the pearls.
The pearls.
I was surprised that because jumping from the last episode, he was basically destitute, and then this one it just like drops that, like he's fine, he's back to work and everything.
Yeah, he might still be in his van. I don't know.
Yeah,
but you're right. It was. Yeah, I feel like sometimes this show will introduce us to crazy things and we don't always see them followed through, which is okay. I mean, the show's a little cartoony, and it doesn't have to necessarily play by the rules of a rational universe.
Yeah,
but
it's that was one thing that just stood out to me this episode.
Definitely. What did you guys think of Maria of Bruce method tweeting as Maria? This
gosh.
I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I just was sitting there watching it by myself laughing. I love it. He's wearing the dress, the earrings. He's like, I'm method tweeting. And the stuff he comes up with is crazy, and that's where it goes into like the publicity stunt of like how they're going to twist it around and make her look better. And then of course he comes up with, she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst choice. Leave it to Bruce to always make like the wrong decisions on these things, and always just do what you're not supposed to do.
It was one of the frustrations of the series that I'm just like, I'm so tired of her friends treating her so terribly, and she just putting up with it. But again, that's what I'm talking about when I'm like, those things can't be resolved. But it was just the frustration at this point where I'm just like, oh, another terrible thing that one of her friends thinks is a great idea.
I know.
And gets her in trouble.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's something I could be excited to see change a bit in season 2. I think it's very important.
For me, for sure.
Yeah, like I feel like it is good for a season 1 to establish consistency, because there was so much zaniness. Maybe that thread helped unify the writing, but I'd like to see that change. I think in season 2, a little less antagonism from everyone around her.
Yeah, because that is the whole thing that like, I know that's where the majority of the comedy or all of it came from, but it's like is it going to be that terrible? Does it pull anything huge from the show if she has somebody that's actually... Well, I mean, I guess Scott, he doesn't... He's not, you know, damaging her yet in any way, but like... yeah, I'm just getting tired of seeing her beat up by her friends.
Yeah.
What are you thinking,
Same.
Lisa? You were going to say something.
I was gonna say, but is Scott facilitating her mental illness? Is what we discussed last time.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
Is he holding her hand too much?
And then the other thing I was thinking about Bruce, well, when first at the top of the show, when they first go into his office and he's doing that strange acting class with the kids who are dressing up like a robot.
Nice Small Wonder reference. I liked that.
He had such a dark side to him that I don't recall seeing as much of.
Yes.
And
I
then we
wondered
see
that.
how dark he is and how mean. And then as soon as Maria walks in, he's like, "Hi, sweet angel."
My Athenian goddess.
And I'm like, wait a minute, what's this dark side with
You're right.
Bruce?
Well,
I feel like it's the
yelling.
first time we've really
Yeah.
seen
I know.
this out of Bruce, like that anger.
Well, that was his son, right? Was I reading that right?
Was
Where he was actually yelling, because he says, if you don't do this right, Mom and I are going to get back in this truck and I'm going to have to suck off another trucker, which was another reference to Bruce sucking off some truck driver in Iowa.
So his wife lives in Iowa?
I think.
Okay.
I didn't notice that, but okay.
Yeah, I think it was his son.
Okay.
I mean, it's
I didn't catch that.
like I want to explore Bruce's family more. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's so. We've seen so much of Maria, which this is her show. Like that should be the case, but like I'd love to see some A and B stories
You want
next
to blow out
season.
some of the other characters.
Yeah, like it would be so funny to see like Bruce's family go to Disneyland or something. Like,
my
can you imagine? Like, I don't know,
yeah,
Bruce
I
falls in
can't.
love with
I
Prince
agree.
Charming or something. So they go on the Kimmel show, but it's not Jimmy Kimmel. It's Ginny
Jenny
Kimmel,
Kimmel.
which something about this was so funny to me. I don't know. What did you guys think of this whole like homemade talk show new media
And I
thing?
love the line too, like, "Oh, I thought I was going to be on the other Kimmel show," and she's like, "Oh, my cousin? No, her podcast? No, that's booked up for months." So.
That was awesome.
It's really funny.
That was funny.
Did you guys like this scene?
Yeah, I love how it was blown up to be like she really thought she was going on Jemmy. She goes on the Jenny Kimmel show. It's out of a garage, and I just love Jason T, the kid with the sound on his MacBook, just like he's just loving it, pressing the buttons.
Yeah.
I could absolutely picture like a YouTube or a podcast or something being exactly like this. And I also loved that the investigative reporters from Santa Clarita High School, broke this story and had all this dirt on Maria and Bruce and what happened and everything. So yeah, it was good. And she was just, Jenny Kimmel was very into herself and into her show. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, we found some stuff out about Bruce and who is the secretary?
Sean
Sean
Treese?
Chantrell? I think it's
Chantrell.
Chantrell.
Chantrell,
Yes.
yeah, and how she definitely,
Her daughter.
ratted out, what happened, the scandal and everything. I was like, get her out of there, So
Classic Chantrell.
classic.
I did notice they were periscoping her show and it had 130 viewers, which I thought, that's pretty good. I was like, that's not bad, was my thought, which shows where I am in my career. But those were live viewers. So I was, Ginny Kimmel, for running a show out of her garage in Santa Clarita, is doing a pretty good job. The one thing I didn't get, it was in front of a bunch of students and children. Was there any explanation?
I think that was just being like Jenny Kimmel that's who her audience is, like that's who's her following is. So
Okay, cool. And it's good because Maria is so bad with kids, so it added to the already existing tension. But funny, I thought this was a funny twist. But this is when Maria learns that Bruce. So the suspense, what's going to happen? We jump back into the past, and we get to see down Maria, who's finally medicated. What did you guys think about seeing another side to Maria Bamford's performance? How did you guys react to the heavily prescribed medicated Maria?
I really liked how Maria had to still continue working and go into the world even though she has all of these internal issues and mental illness going on. Just like in real life, when you go on a new medication, it's not going to adjust the first day, and she's completely tired. She can't get her stuff together. And it just plays out, and it's interesting to see.
yeah, I think this is like, I think we've said before, like it's one of the only shows that gives you like a realistic glimpse into mental illness that's not like a horrible negative view of people who are mentally ill are just crazy, but it's I think there was like a Vice article too that was just like it's refreshing to see a show that it does like an analysis of what the reality of mental illness is. And so
Yep.
That was nice. Those are my favorite parts of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Very real. And this is when she's at checklist, right? When she's working and everything. Yeah, it was interesting because even when you're not medicated, you sometimes just have those days, and just being on set, it's interesting how it got flipped. It's like, where's the Maria we hired, and they're getting so upset because they're like, you need to perform and all this stuff. And then on top of that, of course, Graham comes in. Oh, so sad.
Yeah.
And we find out about how he's gonna break up with her, or he broke up with her because he couldn't take the depression because his mom had gone through that and stuff too, so he's like, I can't do that, and then walks away, and it just adds to it, and you just know you've had one of those bad days. Even if you haven't been on medication, it's like you've experienced that, so you kind of can relate. So it was just a very relatable scene. And then when we went to Karen, my favorite part about this was when we saw Karen Grisham's office, and how she was pretty much told her everybody in Hollywood is crazy and mental, and so you need to get off your medication.
Which is true.
Yeah, I loved this scene because it really allowed us to explore the complexity of being a performer with maybe slightly off kilter cognitively, because like a lot of people in Hollywood are. And what's so tough is Maria has made her money and her career off of a personality that's a bit non-normative, so like all of a sudden she's having this crisis of like, oh my gosh, my doctors are telling me to take these pills and balance myself. My agent and my career and my bills are telling me that I need to be totally unhinged to succeed. So I kind of felt like a deeper thematic resonation here with the way that Karen Grisham was pushing her to get off her meds.
Yeah, because it's like she's trying to help herself out. She's trying to stay healthy, and then she can't.
Right. I really liked this. I think asked very interesting questions about the nature of what it means to be a performer, because like it can really push people. It was disappointing to see Graham just leave.
Oh, I loved that because I was waiting for that. Well,
Bye, Dean Cain.
I'm waiting for the the sliding doors to line up to be like, okay,
Right.
this is when we're these last two episodes. I loved that we are finally seeing the timelines and what got where, and so. That scene was very satisfying for me because you knew that he was leaving, and I was happy to see how that happened.
Yeah, I liked that it provided an explanation for Maria's neuroses, but I was bummed because I liked Graham.
Yeah,
so
same.
I wish we can talk about who we're shipping, if we're shipping Maria and Graham. Well, we hopefully are shipping Maria and Scott now because it seems like they're on the up and up.
I like when Graham told Maria, he said, once you fight once in a relationship, it's over. You know how some people that are scared of falling in love and dating, they're like, no, if it's one fight, it's over. I mean,
Right.
it's like mimics reality.
Yeah, it was kind of sweet. And like, I mean...
I didn't notice that line.
Yeah.
So, okay.
It reoccurs
well, now the
later.
end makes sense. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, I liked this theme because it was character building, which I like, which can be hard to do in comedy. And every episode kind of has a theme and a focus and an emotional core. And here she says, relationships are hard because as soon as you enter one, you open yourself up to loss. So we shoot back into the present and we're at this Thanksgiving scene. Okay, I was confused about this joke. Reverse smoking, reverse vaping.
They did that in a stand-up, or when she was at her stand-up. I think he did it then,
He
right?
did it, after he saw her do stand-up, and then he made that joke. And it was, I laughed out loud at that it was just his little funny bit. It was just something that he gets a laugh doing.
Yeah.
And so he was so nervous at that dinner that he was just being weird and just trying anything to, like, make her friends like him.
Okay, cool. I wasn't sure if it was like a callback to something more specific or some kind of...
so.
Okay. Either way, we get the sense that Thanksgiving, like, things might not be as good as they could be, and Maria freaks out and she leaves. Did this surprise you guys, or did you guys see this coming?
It's been building, I think,
Yeah.
so it's time to snap.
The thing that I didn't like, was it that thing, when she's sitting with Dagmar and Larissa, and they're just attacking her for the child, the war, the child soldiers thing, and they don't believe her when she's trying to tell them what really happened, and it's that kind of stuff. It's that sort of beating up from her friends, and I'm just like, why would these friends who have known her for however so long, like, just not believe a word that she says? Because there's the aspect of a friend, like, Susan is terrible because she's a terrible person,
Right.
and she treats Maria badly because they've grown up their lives with Maria being Susan's
star.
punching bag, and Susan's jealous of that or whatever. But with Dagmar and Larissa, it's like they're both terrible people in their own way. Like, they have their issues too, but it's like, why wouldn't they believe that their friend Maria, when she's telling them what logically happened with the child soldiers thing? Like, I don't know. That was just like one of those frustrations where I was just like, these people are terrible.
Yeah.
I just think it's that point where you have to defriend somebody or unfriend them because you realize that the trust isn't there, maybe.
Unsubscribe, Maria. It's time. Unfollow. Speaking of Susan, I did forget to mention before we move on to the next episode, the Duluth flashback with her was interesting. Where we see her,
yes.
she's taking a stand-up class.
Freaking awesome.
Susan, I do love. Who's not Mary Kay Place, but who's
Mo Collins?
Yeah, Mo Collins.
Yeah.
Her performance as Susan Beaver's gotten better and better for me this whole season, and like, she's doing her stand up. I'm usually a lawyer, but I'm also a mother, and I find time to do charity work on this side. Like, this isn't stand up at all.
And again, they revisit those. There's so many themes of a revisited theme of just bad comedy that like everybody
the torture of being a good comedian and watching bad comedy.
Yeah, because everybody that does comedy for Maria is just terrible. Like, it's not even comedy, you know.
Right. So I wanted to mention that before we moved on because that was such a funny scene to me. We got a movie. Only have 15 minutes, guys.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, no.
Okay,
We're not gonna make it.
Episode 12. Enter the Super Grisham. So many things. So much going on, so many questions answered.
Yeah.
Quick reactions to Enter the Super Grisham. 3 words about what you thought of this episode. Well, maybe just 1 word.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
I guess
Boiling point.
You know, one
Boiling
thing is
point.
that like Bert is one of the only people in her life that she can count on and treats her
People.
I know. I was like, even the weird dog stuff all season, I was like, it kind of came together at the end.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure about like the talking dog stuff, but I actually loved it this episode.
I do too. And Bert, I
is
trust.
awesome.
Yeah, and she has a different story.
Awesome.
Awesome. Bert is a trusted character for me. Like, whatever he thinks, like at the end with Scott, you know, I was like, well, if Bert likes him and he's hanging out with him, maybe he's an all right guy.
He's kind of our voice of reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I liked that Bruce was in a Juicy sweatshirt when they were in the big girl gym in the beginning, and the fact that they were randomly in a big girl gym. I didn't
know that
why.
was a thing. Are there gyms specifically for overweight
like
people?
curves.
Right. Okay.
Dimples.
Yeah, I did know that. What about the scene where Bruce's arms just dislocate? Did this work for you guys?
No, it was just one of those crazy, this cartoony moments.
Yeah,
it's
like,
okay.
what? I thought it was funny, but maybe not my favorite joke of the whole
I
series.
did like when he came in the full body cast and was hitting stuff. So I liked that part.
There was a payout.
I didn't like the actual joke, I guess, as much.
That's all right. A lot of jokes. The theme song was longer. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Caught me off guard. So, okay, another question I have about this whole episode.
I like how Jeff, like, rather than actually saying something negative, it's like, caught me off guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, that caught me off guard. Real quick, this whole, like, finger banging thing, I've got to ask, did Scott finger Maria Bamford?
I don't think so, because I rewatched it, and I didn't see his hand under the table once.
Was that just like
That was another way
I thought
of
it was in
pushing
the
him
kitchen.
away.
I thought it was in the kitchen
Maybe
when it
in
was
the
supposed to
kitchen.
happen.
He scooped off his plate in the kitchen.
But then he came around and like
hugged her. I thought it was then.
Oh, that was a quickie then, huh? Okay.
I guess. I don't know. That the finger banging joke to me was a little bit like, what am I laughing? I don't get it. Is he bad? Is he a bad guy? Did they? I don't know. I get uncomfortable with like violative sex things.
I don't think Maria. Well, tell me if this is wrong, but I didn't get the impression that Maria was the one that had the issue with it. I think it was something that she mentioned, and Dagmar and Larissa were the ones that blew it up into you finger raped her or whatever. Like
with a rape stick.
Yeah, I don't think Maria thought that was. He was attacking her or anything.
I do have to ask: was this the right way for Scott to handle it? Because I'm an idiot. Ladies, inform me. Him going to her friends to ask what's going on.
I thought that was a sweet gesture.
I did too.
Like going to find out and talk and say like, I still really like Maria. I don't know what happened. Like, can I have some advice from some of Maria's closest friends?
I like that move.
I thought that was very sweet.
Yeah. Okay.
Brownie points for Scott.
Yeah. Brownie points for Scott.
It would be good if her friends weren't assholes.
Yeah, maybe next season. Okay, so we flash back and we learn why Maria is so afraid of opening up to people. And it's because she let Bert off the leash
I know.
when she was in Duluth. Well, let's just jump back. Let's talk chronology because I think it's important to keep these things straight. She felt terrible about letting Bert off the leash because in her past, she let Blossom die when Blossom took all of her medication. So again, yeah, this is all of providing us lots of context for Maria's neuroses. So of course, after the death of Blossom, letting Bert off the leash terrified her so much because she had already experienced the loss of one of her favorite pugs.
Yeah.
We learned that Bert was just trying to find his lover, Blueberry.
Yeah.
How did you guys feel about this very long song that Blueberry sang on a stool?
Oh, the
You mean Blossom?
Blossom.
Yes.
Oh, it was, yeah, because it was the ghost, correct.
Yes.
What did you guys think of this?
We saw a different side of her, that's for sure. But I think it was also Maria having some closure with what happened.
I think it was just an excuse to wink at Cabaret or Chicago or Fosse. Like I think they just wanted to shoehorn
Yeah.
a Cabaret bit in there.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, sometimes these moments, I don't know if they're working for me, but they always seem to come together because all of a sudden, when she decided to like let Bert have Blueberry and take Blueberry home, my heart kind of was warm. Like I was like, this is really nice.
So
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah,
Hug
so
a pug.
it ended up working great for me. So we have this Obluvia commercial, which is for the sexually active bicyclist. It's the herpes thing. And this was an interesting scene because it's her scene partner in the commercial that teaches her that she should be opening up to people. Was there something specific about like the biking? Was that a callback or anything? The sexually active bicyclist, or was that just a randomly specific joke?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I wasn't sure if I missed something there. So we get to see Blossom's funeral. First of all, what did you guys think just in general of Blossom's funeral? All the specific things about Blossom coming out.
Well, about the funeral itself, I was like, oh, she would have a funeral for Blossom. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All the stuff that was coming out, I was like, wild, you know. I don't know. It was fine. It was fine for me. Like, I thought it was funny, and it brought the Karens together. It was a reason for that to happen.
Yeah.
I don't think that I, like, laughed out loud funny about all of the Blossom stuff, but I thought it was still, you know, if you're going to put some human qualities to it, it was fine. I liked it, so...
Oh, I thought it was brilliant. I love how Karen Grisham, what is it, number 2, came in. She's like, she was going to move in a condo with her boyfriend, the hot corgi Josh.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is so random.
Yeah, because the jokes just kept getting fired, I ended up loving it. Like when Robert Downey Jr. walks in and we learned that was Blossom's AA sponsor. I did think the escalation of the Blossom has human qualities joke was great. In my book. So this is the Karen moment. All of the Karens show up. I love this.
I was waiting
great.
for this I thought this would happen.
I kind of think all of us sense this coming, right?
Super
I was ready for it.
Super Grisham. But it makes so much sense, right? We have 3 Karen Grishams. We probably don't even have any Karen Grishams, but they're all just an extension of Maria's mania.
Yeah, they're all like controlling her in some way. you
Right, in
know?
different ways.
In different ways.
In different areas of
parts
her life. Yeah.
I thought this was awesome, and like I
too.
loved that there was an explanation for a lot of the craziness that we've been seeing all season, and it was really fun to just see those 3 actresses play off each other too.
I loved having them all together in one room.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
It was amazing, so much so that the Karens not only operate separately, but they also conflate together and become a guinea pig.
Yeah. They like all hold hands and they touch. Let's see, will anything
Can
happen?
we?
Oh, yeah.
Anything happen?
I don't know if we're gonna become a guinea pig today.
Oh, we're
Evil
still
guinea
here.
For those of you listening to the
Become a
podcast,
5th microphone.
yeah,
Or a little bee.
or a little bee, AFTERBUZZ. Either way, this was so crazy to me, but I loved it because it provided so much explanation. Mark McGrath comes back again.
Yeah, I was like glad that
From
that
Sugar
was-
Ray.
Yeah. And
Don't you know?
we get to see her go back and give this checklist presentation, and she goes off on the company.
We all remember, but by the way, with Mark McGrath, you remember was the first episode in the pool, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I love that he came back. This is great. And we get to, she fires on all cylinders about the terrors of checklist. This did make me think maybe she regrets her Target.
Yeah.
I don't know.
about
I mean, it
that
could be
too.
totally independent, but like, Checklist has taken some blows in this show.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So much of this show, it's just like, oh, it must be such a realistic, like, Maria's take on things. But then I'm like, that she can't think that all of her friends are assholes. Like, if I were
Right.
one of her friends, I'd be like, is this what you think of me? You know, like, so then there's the side of it that's like, no, it's, you know, it's not true, it is true, it's not true.
Right.
I think it's an insecurity in
Yeah.
the back of her mind, like a lot of people have.
Right. It's just an expression of how she felt before she was healthy, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Either way, we get this fight with Mark Sugar Beast McGrath, and Maria's like this kind of Power Ranger. And I did love, this was kind of poignant to me, we have all the Karens controlling her and her
Yes.
brain. And the line that I loved was press all the buttons.
Yeah.
Because isn't that probably so the way that she felt?
Yeah.
Was everything happening at once, the intensity of mania. Did you guys like this? Was this too much for you? Was it just enough? What did you guys think of this?
Oh, I love the
I
ode
did
to
too.
Power Rangers for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
I
did
grew
too.
up watching that, so.
I didn't know if they, like, Sugar Ray was supposed to be this, like, chunk of sugar. And I was like,
I thought that was
is
funny.
he supposed to be Sugar Ray Leonard at all? Like, you know, where that name comes from?
Oh,
Like,
interesting.
who is, you know, a fighter. So I didn't know if they didn't seem to go there. I don't know.
Maybe it was like a very distant call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I laughed. I thought it was funny.
Me too. Anyway, by fighting Mark McGrath, she accidentally forces Mark McGrath to kill the Checklist CEO. We go to Duluth for a minute, and we see the clip of Maria, "You're not my sugar beast," and then they feel bad for her reputation because of the video, but not as bad for Mark McGrath's reputation as a guy who doesn't murder crippled old men.
Yes.
This is a pretty
I
funny
just
joke.
want to say about that video though. When they were showing it on YouTube, they missed all of Maria's. When she was talking about like how it's a bad corporation and evil and all that stuff, it like started with the fight, you know. So you missed everything that Maria was like all amped up about and intense and everything that she wanted to be heard.
Right.
And then it just started with the fighting, and I just thought that was kind of funny because
Yeah.
that's true to life, I think, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's really true.
Nobody hears what you really want to say. They hear the aftermath of you like killing the guy. So
Yeah.
Right, but did she ever really say it on stage in real life?
true.
That's what I assumed was in her head. She's this,
Yeah.
but in real life, it's just the lamb.
Yeah.
Yep.
Either way, this provided us a lot of the explanation as to how and why Maria is the way she is in the present. It kind of really buttoned everything up. I didn't
did.
feel like there was anything left hanging.
Yeah.
And we finally get this last scene that's really sweet of her getting together with Scott and the mural and her learning that fighting with someone is okay.
Yeah.
I loved this. I thought it was a really nice, kind of subdued, sweet way to end this season. What did you guys think?
It was great. Yeah. I thought that was sweet. I'm definitely, I don't know if I'm all Team Scott, but I'm more Team Scott now.
Me too.
Yeah. I think he's very sweet.
Oh, is somebody? Are you not? I'm all Team Scott.
We love Scott. We talked about this last week a little bit. We weren't sure. Our fear was that Scott, he loved Maria's stand-up about the dead bits and the sex chunks so much. We were worried he might be fetishizing her sickness.
Yeah.
Like he might be like into the thought of her having sex with chunks of her family. Like that was our fear. Instead of the comedy.
Yeah.
It was the way he'd said the lines.
Yeah.
For
But
sure.
Scott grew a lot on me this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
and the
seems
whole
like a
knife bit and all that stuff. But
Good
yeah.
guy.
Yeah, but she's still a little baby inside because she just thinks she can have him back. But he's like, it doesn't work that way.
I know.
You know, I have
Yeah.
feelings too.
Right.
But she learns a lot from Scott.
She
I think
does.
they're able to connect. So I think that's good. She needs that kind of person in her life who's real and cares about her.
And he brushes off her anxieties. You know, he just kind of downsizes. Like, BBC isn't that good of a news station to watch. You know, when the video came up.
That was a fun montage.
Yeah.
We skipped over it. But
I wonder where Scott's supposed to be from. If it's like Scandinavian country, because
Swedish. The actor's
they have,
Swedish, I think.
They have like a world like high for depression, and since he talks about his family, like he's used to mental illness, like they have because it's like so rarely sunny there. I've
yeah.
heard that they have just like a super high rate of depression and suicide and stuff.
Very
And where
interesting.
did you say?
Like Sweden and
cloudy places.
In Scandinavia where it's very far north and.
All right. Well, we've got like
Great.
5 minutes. I want to talk just about the season as a whole. Some things we like, things we didn't like. Real quick, anything we missed on this episode?
Well, we had to skip over a lot, but I think we covered the most important parts.
need, like,
I saw
2
why.
hours.
Yeah, I saw why she got into Duluth, which really closed it off for me. That was so helpful. I liked that part.
Yeah.
So.
Is it gonna Scott had a 410 credit score and also Graham had a really terrible credit score. So is that gonna be a reason why she's like drawn to people that are financially
Interesting.
irresponsible?
I like that prediction. So I want to ask, who was your favorite non-Maria recurring character? I gotta say, personally, I liked Larissa. I think I like Lennon Parham a lot, but something about the way she would deliver lines, I just thought was
She's
so
funny.
funny.
Yeah, and how she would say inappropriate things, but just very sweetly,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like the worst thing you could say.
Definitely.
It's hard for me to say because of the fact that they're all so skilled and hilarious. Mo Collins is amazing, and Bridget Everett. I guess Dagmar might be my favorite, but the thing is, it's so hard for me to answer that because when a character is being so terrible, I really can't be on their side, even though they're like comedically amazing and they're the actor's doing such a great job.
Yeah.
So I can't. It's so hard for me to say like what non-Maria character do I want to see back. Like I liked Graham because he was nice. He was at least nice.
I hear you.
Yeah, I like Dagmar for sure. I think her jokes were very funny and on point, so I really liked her. Bert, I don't know, he's so sweet.
Oh,
so
yeah. Bert was sweet.
maybe I'll go with the dog, the little pug.
Karen Grisham won for me.
The agent.
Yeah.
The agent, yeah. I
That
agree.
that
Yes.
performance, I kind of could see an Emmy nod sneaking in for Anna Gasteyer's
Ooh.
performance. I don't know,
good.
but in terms of a guest star, it's hard to forget that performance.
Yeah.
Favorite guest star? I kind of liked the Lucas brothers.
I was gonna say that too.
Sorry to reach in front of your face.
Yeah,
during
sorry,
taking
I'm
camera.
making noise.
How about you two?
I like Jill Quatney.
Yes.
Loved her. She's so hated, but I like her.
Yeah.
That one was rough for me. Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What's
She's great.
something you could do without next season?
I feel like we've moved past Duluth and we can kind of just carry on with the present and the future.
I don't know. I might.
Yeah, and it would be a shame to not see Mary Kay Place as much.
Yeah.
Well, what about present day though?
She could come out to LA.
Yeah.
They're not dead, Tamra.
Yeah.
Or maybe past. I think that maybe we could lose a timeline, whether
of
it's
them.
Duluth or the past.
Yeah.
And then she can still, whichever one she wants to talk about. If she wants to talk about mental health, then we could lose maybe the past as much and just talk about Duluth a lot. Or we could still get some Duluth in her past. It doesn't have to be so
Maybe. Yeah. Right.
so
right.
many
Just
timelines.
too many.
Would you say less aggression from the ancillary characters is something you can do without?
For sure.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
I want to see more sweetness besides just from Maria.
I think the writers are the jokes are so good. They can make just as funny jokes out of characters that are a lot more likable.
I think of
would
Kenneth
like-
from 30 Rock.
I
or
would like to
something.
see that. Yeah.
Even if there's just one more likable character, that
Yeah.
would be enough.
Agreed. I think that's what I could do without.
Even Bruce, who's he accidentally gets her but he's still pretty charming. But like even he is just too
Kiss assy.
just too sour for me. Like we just want some like good character. Scott's great, but he's not as funny. But I think
Right.
they're not purposely writing him as funny. Like I
He's a
think
good
they
balance.
could. Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you if I just did. I was just going to say, totally agree. Even like a passive aggressive character. Like, I just feel like all the aggression is so on the nose. It might be nice to
And
see
her
someone.
mom is so aggressive.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Susan.
So I could do with this a little more sweetness from the secondary characters next season.
Yeah.
Well, anything else? Any other thoughts?
I can see. I was just thinking that because I was like, well, where is this going to go since we really wrapped up all the history of where she's coming from and stuff like that. And there's, not much like career-wise trajectory to do for a second season. So I bet this whole second season is going to be, because Maria's married. I wonder if it's going to get a lot more personal. And the second season is about her personal relationships more so than career stuff like this season was about.
What do you guys think? What do you predict for season 2?
I could see that. I don't know exactly in season 2. We did see a breakdown, but I think we need to see her still stepping up and being more courageous. So I think with being more personal and talking more about her friends and dating, that maybe we'll get some more courage out of Maria. So I think it's a step. This season was a good foundation, and maybe we'll just see it built.
Great.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, more present day, and I want to see her actually work more. I like to see her on set.
Yeah, or doing comedy or something.
Yeah, more comedy too.
Yeah, I would love to see longer arcs. Like, I'd like to see her maybe get on a show that's longer than just a scene. Because, like, all of her, like, we saw White Trash for a scene and these commercials for a scene, but it might be fun to see her have kind of a workplace consistency.
I just thought of an interesting little bit. Jackie Cation on one of her podcasts was talking about, Jackie's a really funny comedian who is a headliner herself but opens for Maria a lot because they're both from the Midwest. And so she tours with Maria most of the time when Maria's on tour. And she was saying that when Maria writes, and this is so rare for a comedian, Maria just tosses her old notebooks out. She just throws them away.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
And like, so she keeps her material that she keeps and uses and eventually going onto an album. And then her old material is just in the trash somewhere, never to be seen again. Yeah.
I'd like
Very
to see
Katie
buy that.
Salinger.
It's so,
Yeah, why?
It's so brave.
that is
That is brave.
She's a brave woman, and it's a brave show.
Yeah.
We want to thank you guys so much for joining us all season. I've had
Thank you.
so much fun with you
has been
three.
fun.
Thank you. Yeah. I think it's been awesome. Hopefully we'll be back for season 2. Who knows when it'll come out? Maybe
Hopefully.
2017. But
Although the hardest part about the show is we're not being able to binge watch it.
right, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But we did it.
I'm probably
proud
gonna
of us.
binge it. I might binge
I'm
it
proud
again
of
because
us.
imagine all the stuff we'll see.
Yeah.
Now that we know all the timelines, I think there's probably a lot of Easter eggs.
You can
we
go
missed.
back and comment on all of our
Yeah,
videos.
please do. I know.
Like these schmucks should have been doing the whole time.
I know. Okay, guys, thanks again for joining us. If you did, we really appreciate it. We hope you liked the show as much as we did. My name is Jeff Graham, y'all. You can find me on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham. I do comedy rap, so if you search for Graham Cracker Rap, you can find me there. I have an album. It's a direct download, and it's free, so you should just download and listen to it. You guys, where can they find you?
I'm Tamra Brown. I'm going to plug, I run a monthly comedy show called the Art Deco Comedy Hour, and this month our show is Thursday, July 7th, and we've got Jackie Cation, who I just mentioned, who was in one of the episodes of this show. She's going to be on the show.
All right. And I'm Kelsey Hightower, and you can find me online at Kels Hightower.
And I'm Lisa Mason Lee. Thank you so much for watching, and you could find me everywhere at Lisa Mason Lee and LisaLeeTV.com.
All right, guys, thank you. We don't know what we're doing more than half the time.
No, we don't.
We don't know what we're doing.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.